It's another wonderful evening. It's a Thursday, and we are here once again with the program Spot On. Before we go on, can I just say quickly that we are already live on Facebook, and we are glad to be reaching those who are able to watch us on Facebook. If not, we're grateful for the audience that you are to us right now. Now, last week, for those who follow this program, you know that we did talk about rape and those who are victims most of the time of this war it's a weapon of war that has been used for God knows how long. And we're not talking about just war as in war, where people have taken up arms and are fighting. Even in peace times, people use it to war against the psyche or the psychological well-being of any individual. When you rape a person, when you take away their right to say yes or no to whatever advances it not only demeans them, it takes away something that a lot of people have said takes a lot of courage to build back. Now, last week, Yusuf Kanhu was with us, and we had talked extensively about the current situation as regards sexual violence, not just in Nigeria, but also in Kaduna State. And we had promised last week that we were going to bring someone who would be able to speak on the part of, or on behalf of the judiciary, the law, that aspect of governance. Because last week, a lot of people, and as a matter of fact, by Yusuf Kanhu's submissions in several areas, we as a people started questioning the strength, not just the strength, but even the will of our judiciary or the judicial system of Nigeria to do well or to do good by those people who need for them to mete out justice, at least some sort of reprieve, to give them some sort of reprieve in whatever might have happened to them as regards sexual violence. And that is why today it is with pleasure that I have with me in the studio Bukola Ajao. Bukola Ajao is the immediate former Kaduna chairperson of FIDA. And then, of course, she is not just a human rights advocate, she is also the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators chairperson, Kaduna chapter. Of course, she's also a legal practitioner, a private legal practitioner. She's so many things and has been doing a lot of work in the sphere of non-governmental organizations, trying her best to put in her own quota to see how our society can be a better one. And that's why it gives me great pleasure to welcome you. You're such a busy person, so I know it took a lot for you to be here. Thank you for being here, Bukola Ajao.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much. Now, just to jump quickly into what we're talking about, I told you last week, talking about sexual violence and all that it entails, the statistics that we have, the fact that we even had an executive order where our governor had said, look, any moment that anyone, henceforth, anyone caught, perpetrating sexual violence on anyone, castration would be, the end game for that person. And of course, there was a lot of talk about whether or not it was going to be effective at the end of the day in curbing sexual violence. But the bottom line is we are yet to see anyone castrated. But before we get to that point, I know you are doing a lot of work in this area, and that is why I would like to know, what is the present statistics? What's the climb like? You might not have the numbers, but what's the climb like?
It's honestly, it's almost an everyday affair, because you just take a stroll into there's this department called Gender and Family Support at the state CID, just around behind Gabasa police station. Once you walk into that department, you will see that there's no day that a case of rape is not reported. And the one that it's you know, that really makes you shiver is the fact that it has to do with minors. You have 9 years, 10, 12, upwards. You have even 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, where a woman is washing, maybe it's in the kitchen, in the compound house, and a neighbor who is an elderly man will call the daughter, and the daughter doesn't know what is happening. She will even walk in. In fact, there was the latest one that these children were being abused by someone that's supposed to be a tutor. 2 girls of the same mother, and when they got back home, they were describing what had happened earlier or that had been happening for some time now to their mother. And she was like, what? And what the man was practicing with them is he was making, he had these children, you know, having an oral, you know, sex. Because he had
in the classroom?
Not in the classroom. Not in the classroom. It's not a modern. It's another kind of tutoring, you know, around the community.
Right.
So, and the children now told their mom in Hausa that, Mama, our teacher after lesson used to tell us to suck something. What is that thing?
Oh my goodness.
And when we do that, something comes out like a muco. That's the only thing they know, but they don't know what that thing is. So you see that every day. That matter, of course, because you don't have to discuss or start calling names. The matter is presently under investigation because there's no how 2 kids, about 8 and 10, will come and tell their mother that if that did not happen. And so the ratio is a bit high. But for some time now, because of the awareness of especially that the law that just been repealed and signed by the governor, which is saying that anyone that has sexual intercourse with a minor will, after prosecution and upon conviction, will be castrated, a surgical castration and death if it's a minor. But if the person is not a minor, because you have adult girls falling victim, there's a present case that is going on. The girl is 19 with a 24-year-old guy, and there was no consent, and so that is rape. And so if that happens, its punishment is castration and life imprisonment. So the rate is a bit high, but then there's more awareness. People talk about the law now. They know that the law in Kaduna State, which is the Penal Code law and repealed recently, that particular section 258, if I'm not mistaken, it has replaced, instead of life imprisonment, is now castration and death if that person is a minor. And if it's an adult, it is castration and life imprisonment. And even, it's not only girls that fall victim of this sexual offense. We have even boys of 10, 15, where a woman will harbor children of that age and will be teaching them that kind of a thing. And even having intercourse with them. If it's a woman, she too, if upon conviction, will be castrated. Our own castration is called, it's also surgical castration, but then it has to do with the fallopian tube of the woman. It will be removed and she'll be sentenced to death if she did that with a child. Because we have those that indulge in such things. Then you also have the anal sex between an older man and a young boy of 9, 10. He doesn't know what is happening. You will tell him, remove your trousers. The boy will do that. We have cases like that. And for cases of that nature, before the penal code was passed into law, because, you know, we had the old penal code and the new one, they repealed, is that for those people, at least I know that we got conviction. For a boy that was sexually abused anally, that man is still in prison. So, but it's only about following up the case. It's very important. But if you talk about the statistics, it's a bit, you know, I can say in a day now, if I put a call through the 2IC of that department, it will tell me that at least 1 or 2 was reported today. And so that is it. It's overwhelming. And at times, it's just like, When will this thing stop? But before now, it's more than that. That's just one thing that I can say. There's, at a point, there will be something like, oh, it's like it's going, and then all of a sudden you just see it. It's like that. But people will say, it's because the perpetrators are not being properly punished. They need to do that law. But then, the law is there. But you have, because it's a criminal offense, even if the man is caught in the act, he has to go through the process of the law. He has to be arraigned before the court. His charge drafted. Then his trial will start. Witnesses called from this side, on that side. He will also defend himself. So at the end of the day, we have a little bit of time. But these days, we have, I can say that our judges in the judiciary don't play with issues of sexual offenses, especially rape. You will hear them say, prosecutor, please, I want you to assemble your witnesses tomorrow. I want to take them tomorrow. And that's been happening. But then, even where the perpetrator or the suspect has been found guilty and sentenced for, we have not had any sentence with this new law, but I know that we had one during COVID. It was in Zaria. That guy was sentenced to 14 years imprisonment. He raped a 14-year-old girl that died.
But he wasn't castrated.
Because his conviction was with the penal code, the 2017 penal code. So his sentence was passed with that law. And he's still in prison now. 14 years. So it's only if you follow up, that's when you know that, okay, these cases are going on and things like that. But another thing is, at the point of trial, there are some hitches that the prosecutors or the prosecution they found themselves in. Like, some people will decide, oh, it has taken long. We took about 6 months investigation. Now we're in court. Now now maybe some this year there's a strike here. There's this, that. So people, they get tired. But all we're saying is that if you have a criminal matter that involves your own, that tenacity, you must build it. You must have it. That I want to see to the end of it. At a point, they will tell you we are tired, we are not coming. Some will even tell you we don't have transport to bring the survivor to court. They have challenges like that. Then some will say, we have settled it, please. Oh, you are still holding on to that file? We have forgotten about it. You now wonder how. So we have such challenge. But it is not all the time that the blame is on the side of the judiciary. We have kind of some of the survivors, their parents will tell you, we have settled. How? And if somebody tells you, we have settled, and you tell him, you can't settle it, this is a state case, then when it's time for the survivor to testify, they will switch off their phone. They will change their number. For that, there's nothing you can do. But we have those that are standing and waiting. In fact, they will call you and be reminding you, tomorrow is our matter. When are we coming? We have those that do that. And for that's the kind of encourage for those that are doing that. We want them to be encouraged and to know that at the end of the day, there's going to be the light.
At the end of the tunnel.
So the idea of, getting a little bit of cold feet, I'm tired, I can't fight. No. Once you do that, then you have given the perpetrator or the suspect the way to walk out. That's just it.
Barrister, that you've raised so many issues, so many concerns, and even shed light on several things. Like, I love the fact that you touched on the fact that it's not just women or the female folk that fall victim.
We have the small boys, young boys, 10, 12. Well, there are cases that we handle. In fact, there was one that was so you won't even want to see the boy. It has eaten deep into the boy's system that maggot were coming out of his anus. And the mother was not aware. And so, even at that...
Maggots were coming out.
Yes, from his anus, because he doesn't have his birth. So when the person that abuses him finishes what he wants to do, the semen remains there, and it's been there, and the same boy, maybe his mother, due to a nonchalant attitude, will tell him to go and have his bath. He can't even tell the mother what they're doing to him until, because why God feed on anything that is not good. So, and that happened. That boy had to be operated upon. It's not a story, it's what I saw. So that happens to young boys. So that's why it's not about the girls alone. It's also, it happens to young boys. That boy was about 10. And such kind of thing, it remains in the boys. For him to be able to come out to talk, he won't even talk. The one I handled personally, the boy did not talk. It was his teacher that noticed that the boy was spending money in school. And before now, he was not bringing money to school. So she was like, where did you get that 1,000 naira? And he kept quiet. And he was like, somebody gave me. Somebody for what? What did you do? And while they were trying to check him, they realized that, in fact, that day, on his way to school, the man was just a man that sells grape somewhere where the boy walks through the school. And this boy was even an orphan. He used to call the boy. We give him the grape or whatever he was selling, and he will now, have intercourse with the boy through the hour. He would tell him to remove his trousers and do things like that. So, and the boy was not talking. He would just keep quiet. He doesn't even understand what the man was doing.
Was he an orphan or he was just fatherless? Because you did talk about the mother or something. Was he an orphan or...
No, because there are two different cases.
Okay, two different cases.
The one that Margot was coming out, he had a mother. Then the one I said I handled, that one was an orphan. He was living with maybe a family of his father. His father is late, the mother is late. But that one, we got conviction for him. A young boy.
Now, Barrister, these people that you get conviction for, do they go in to start to serve their sentence without parole, or is there the eligibility of parole later on?
No, for that one, because then when they had the perpetrator was sentenced, the new penal code had not been signed, and so it was in fact the penal code that was used was even the Sharia penal code. Yes, the Sharia penal code, and by now he should almost finish his sentence. But of course, he would have learned his lesson. But
would he?
He would. He would have. There's no way he would. And for that too, compensation was also paid to that boy. Yes, because damages that were caused, the medical treatment, a sane person was asked to pay compensation.
Do we have, I know that in Kaduna State we're really making strides. There's a lot going on.
Yes.
We have a governor who wants to work with people like you, trying to get this community to one where people have a voice.
Yes.
However, I'm wondering, amongst all the things that we're doing, do we have a sex offenders register? Because this is something that we see that has worked outside the country, where even if you are moving from a place like Kaduna to go and live in Lagos, that record follows you.
Yes,
because these are some of the things too that could deter people who have such, proclivities or those kind of things, boiling in them, or urges. Yes. To know that this goes beyond even sentencing, even after the castration probably, and even after the sentence.
It goes
this history will follow me wherever
and it affects
I go.
The entire family.
It affects the entire family.
Because once they check and a name is registered in the sexual offenders register, nobody wants to associate with such persons.
Right.
Yes, we have a sexual offenders register. By the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of Kaduna State, there's a provision for that, which says that once a person has been sentenced for a sexual offense, his name will be registered in the sexual offenders register in Kaduna State. I think presently the sexual offenders register should be with I think it's with the Ministry of Justice. Yes, with the Ministry of Justice. Because
so how is that information used? Because it's no good. That information is no good if that register is hiding in a drawer somewhere.
It's not hiding there.
Can people access? People should be able to access.
Yes, you'll be able. You can access it. And once a suspect has been convicted, there's usually, that's why the media too, that's the role of the media. Okay, today a man has just been sentenced for such and such and such. It will be, all the social media to be flying there, his pictures and everything will be there. It is after that is done, you can now see that there's been a publicity about that particular case. So anyone going through the social media or maybe newspapers will realize that, wow, today a man that has just been sentenced has been circulated, is in the media, news reporters took it, media, radio, and that register is there. It's for the public. You can access it. In fact, by that law, by the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, the Ministry of Human Services, which is a ministry that they have a lot to do in regard to that law, they are supposed to, I think, annually or every 6 months, give a report to the governor on how many cases were handled using that law and how many convictions were gotten, so that you now have data. Anyone can just walk maybe to the, I think the statistics of, I don't know, is it Bureau of Statistics, to check. You can go through it and check that. Okay, because there is going to be like a report that was sent to the governor. So it's there, it now becomes a public document. So you can know. So that, like, when you ask me, I should be able to answer you that, okay, from January to August now, we have such number of cases, maybe about such number of cases in court. How many are what is the status of these cases? Are they at the trial? Is there any judgment on maybe those that are before the court? What is the status? Then the ones that have been determined, there should be a proper record, annual, 6 months, to the governor, so that the governor himself, because the law specify that should be done, so that the governor will know that, okay, these laws that I've signed, it's effective, it is properly implemented, and it's working.
So have we had that? I mean, the governor brought out this executive order sometime.
No, you're talking about the penal code. Kaduna State, we are blessed with law. We have the Child Welfare Protection Law, which is a law that protects the children, their welfare and their protection. Okay. And so anything that has to do with a child, it is that law that is applicable. Okay. And even in that law, we have the areas that has to do with rape, defilement, abuse, violation, trafficking, child labor. They're all there. We have that. And we have implementation committee that are working under that law presently. Okay. We also have the penal code.
Who are those that make up that committee?
Yeah, okay, those that make up that committee is we have different stakeholders. We have the police, all the law enforcement agents, they are there. Okay. We have the Ministry of Human Services. We have the Ministry of Justice. Then we have even representatives of NGOs, CSOs, and anyone, even that is working using that law. All are in that committee. We even have the clergymen, the imams, they're all in that committee to ensure that the Child Welfare Protection Law in Kaduna State is properly implemented. And apart from the law that you're going to use if it's a minor, you also have children being offenders. So it is that law that they'll use if it's a minor. And because as a minor, you can't bring him before the open court. Usually minor their trials are usually in chambers, not for everybody to see. So it is that law that is applicable to them. So
just quickly, for our information's sake, the minors who find themselves as perpetrators, what does the law say about them?
Yes, the issue is that he will be properly punished, but instead of punishment, you have rehabilitation for such minors. Because for whatever, it is what, he might not know what he's doing. It might be that somebody is trying to, it's just like, okay, a child that follows maybe criminals to do things, maybe they break a house and they ask the boy to go in because he's a small child. He doesn't understand what that is. But while his trial is going on, he will be able to understand that it's a crime. But because you are a minor, you might not be punished the way the adult is being punished, but he will be in the rehabilitation home, where, of course, you will be going to school. Of course, all that is structured in that law. The boy, it's more of rehabilitation, correctional.
Right.
The boy will be corrected at that point to be a better person, because if you mix that same child with adults in another bigger correctional center for adults, he might become worse by the time he's coming out. So that's the difference. Yes.
If you're just joining us this evening, I sincerely hope not. We have with us Bukola Ajawo. Not only is she the immediate former chairperson of FIDA Kaduna chapter, she is a human rights advocate. Of course, you know that she's a barrister, and also the chairperson, Kaduna State chapter of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. Let's go on a quick commercial break, and when we get back, I know you have questions. We'll be opening up the phone lines as soon as possible. I have a lot of questions, so let's go quickly, and we'll be right back. Do stay with us. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Many matters arising out of the discussion that we've been having with Barrister Bukola Ajawo, and it is time for us to open up the phone lines. There are so many questions, like I told you, but you know how these things go. Many times a lot of people want to ask questions, and then we end up asking questions, and listeners are left with many more. And so, because you are the most important thing out of all of this, let's give maximum time to all who are listening to us. If you're trying to get through to us and you cannot, please know that you can go on our Facebook Live and drop your comments. We will read them. But right now, the lines are open. The numbers are 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 989. Okay. Wanted to pick a call quickly, but it didn't work out that way. The numbers are 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 989. Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir. I don't know why we cannot hear you properly. Hello. Unfortunately, we couldn't hear you. I hope that we're not going to have trouble with the line. I know that there are quite a number of calls coming in. Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, you're
Good
welcome.
evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, the barrister. What is the name?
Mr. Kure, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. The barrister has spoken very well. The question that I just want to answer, since the law has been signed on people that are raping minors or rapers, as the governor has passed the law, or he has signed the law, I want to know whether there are some people that are being caught on that act. And if they are being caught, what are the penalties?
Okay.
Are they to serve, or they are to be castrated? Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Mr. Kure, for your question. Still taking your calls this evening. While we're waiting for calls, Barrister, you might want to answer them quickly, because I know that other calls will come in.
Yes. No, I think what he was trying to say, he wanted to just ask whether that law has, been implemented, meaning whether we have a case to show where somebody has been castrated. For now, no, because we have cases still ongoing using that law. And so until the case is determined, that is when, of course, the punishment will be meted upon the perpetrator. And it's not as if it's one that they will take, it's the two. He will be castrated and be sentenced to death if is found guilty of raping a minor. And who is a minor? A child that is not up to 18 years.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's take another call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, my regards to your guest there.
You're welcome.
My own is I want in a way to contribute because I experienced this kind of matter recently. The sister was raped. But to my own observation, there are two major factors in prosecuting this case of rape.
How old?
The societal factor.
Can we know how old?
She was about 9.
Okay.
You understand me, Ko?
Yes.
The societal factor and the legal factor. The legal factor is that it doesn't take police more than 1 week to investigate case of rape and charge to court. But our problem is from the judiciary, the Ministry of Justice. Police have no right to directly charge the matter to court until they get an advice from the Ministry of Justice before prosecuting. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
Yeah, if you go to Ministry of Justice today, you will see case diaries from the police, either from the state CID or from the police. Case diary of maybe about 6 months or 1 year still pending. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
For police to arrange their case diary to prosecute, it doesn't take more than 7 days.
Yes.
But the issue there is the delayance in prosecuting the suspects.
Okay.
Because at the time these cases, the evidence, at the time the proceedings, they conclude their proceedings, some of the evidences are being destroyed.
Okay.
You see that the victims have been set free. And not only that, our law is very flexible in handling this matter.
How
You
so?
understand me, Ko? I said 2 factors. The society factors. You see that the victim, the suspect, after committing this offense, due to the delayance of case diaries in the Ministry of Justice, you see that the relatives of the rapist also, we go and be inducing them. At times they don't come to court. It takes more than 2-3 years to prosecute case of rape. And during this period of time, you see that some of the evidences are being destroyed. And again, when the victim did not come to court, how would the court adjudicate? How would the court sentence the victim?
Okay.
You understand me? That's my own
Yes.
contribution because I observed all these things recently.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. Even though
Yes.
how is your niece? The case that you're talking about. I hope she's doing well. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you so much. I know that you might not want to disclose what is what's really going on there.
No, but it's a good one that at least
Barrister,
shared.
this matter of delaying, it was brought up last week, and once again you can hear
it's
someone
coming up. He's saying it's even specifically is attacking the Ministry of Justice, even saying that the police, that it doesn't take time for the police to rush their case diary and get it to the Ministry of Justice.
Right.
Is that the Ministry of Justice that the legal advice would be given based on the case diary that the police are sent. And I'm saying it, that at times it's follow-up that matters. Because
when you say follow-up, what do you mean by follow-up?
Okay, follow-up means there must be somebody, that is tracking the file. You just don't leave your file like that to be flying.
But Barrister, is this
the
right?
issue, you know why? No,
Is it
it's
right?
not. It's not as if you have to go giving money or something like that. But of course, because it's only High Court that has jurisdiction to try rape cases. But the magistrate court take cognizance of the matter. So the matter is first taken to the magistrate court, and at the magistrate court, the prosecutor of the police will come and tell the court that we have sent our case diary to the Ministry of Justice. We're expecting the advice. At times, the advice is there. The advice is on the table there. It is for the Ministry of Justice or the person in charge. These days, in fact, it's just that, people talk, but I know there's a fast track now. Even yesterday, I was there to check. And by the time I got there, that advice was out. And so once the advice is out, it is the responsibility of the person that signed the advice to send the advice to the appropriate court so that the court, that's the magistrate court, the magistrate court will immediately, based on the advice, because the advice could be 2 ways. At times, it could be this person, the suspect has a case to answer on suggesting the offense based on the case diary or the statement that they have before them. So if the legal advice says prosecute, then the matter will now be taken to the High Court. But it is not just after the legal advice, then the charge will now be drafted. With the charge, the matter will now start at the High Court.
So you are saying that someone in that family needs to follow up, and I'm saying that must that person...
No, yes. not someone in the family.
Okay.
Of course, for such cases, there should be a lawyer. If there's a lawyer, the lawyer is there.
Once again, it's about money. How many people can really afford the services of a good lawyer?
Yes, but we have agencies that do this without collecting money. We have the Legal Aid Council. Yes, Legal Aid Council, they are there. You understand? So the issue
Do you know
is,
that even the Legal Aid Council,
yes,
I don't know about now, but there
yes,
about 2-3 years ago, I had cause to follow someone there, and even they asked for money. Yes,
wow.
This is me personally telling you that they did ask for money. They were saying, to open a file, to do the